timer on there? Can you give me like 10 minutes? I'll give you 10 minutes. It's up. Like 10 minutes before I'm done.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jolene Brackey event, Creating Moments of Joy. We've just finished training with Jolene here, all the Pillars management team, and we've had nothing but a great morning. And so we are so excited to reach out and welcome you as family members, the greatest givers and the greatest creators of joy out there that we know. And so I'm so honored to welcome Jolene here from Montana. She made it safe. We're so excited to give her our own Minnesota creating moment of joy in the form of some snow. Even in the middle of October, we got it in ahead of time. So we're so excited, and just give a warm welcome to Jolene Brackey, who's going to take it away for the next hour with you, family members and caregivers out there. If you have any questions, we will be able to ask her if there's time through the chat function. So just send us a chat message, and myself and Ann Sector will be able to answer those. So again, a huge thank you to the Pillars funds that were able to sponsor Jolene to come and be with us in person today, to not only be with you, but to be with the management team that got some awesome training and just different creative ways of thinking. So we're excited to bring that to all of our Pillar sites. So on behalf of the Pillars, welcome to Minnesota, and I'll let you take it away.
Hi there. Loving the snow? Yes, just say yes, because you don't have a choice. So my name is Jolene Brackey, and I have written the book Creating Moments of Joy. I've also been speaking to people about dementia and Alzheimer's for about 20, 25 years. And no, I didn't start when I was 18, but thanks for the young comment, Jay. I appreciate it. Give you a little bit of background. When I began, I was an activity person, and so I shared with others that I care for people with dementia, and their reaction to me was usually, it's such a terrible disease. And I'm going to say I didn't have any expectation of who they should be. I accepted them as they were, as they are. And I think that is the greatest gift that we can give. And I think they're here to teach us something. I think because they have short-term memory loss and they don't know what happened 5 minutes ago, they're living right now. I also think when they're feeling something, they don't have the ability to say, should I say that? No, when they're feeling something, it comes out right now. So we get an opportunity to respond to authentic emotions, whether that be anger, sadness, fear. When we're cognitive and we're perfectly fine, we can hide it, stuff it, change it, say, I'm good, everything's good. People with dementia can't do that. If they're feeling something, you get to respond to it. And how you respond to it actually teaches you how to respond to life. So that's a big concept, but we're not going to go there right now. First thing that I would like us to do is to understand people with Alzheimer's. Understand one of the first things that they lose is their short-term memory. So when they lose their short-term memory, basically, if you ask them, what'd you have for breakfast? They would say, I don't know, I didn't get any. Or they don't remember what they ate for breakfast. Or if you talk to them about the drive that you went on yesterday, they would go, I didn't go on a drive. They just look at you confused because they don't remember what happened yesterday. Or if you talk to them about someone coming to see them last weekend, they'd be like, I haven't seen my family in months. They lose their short-term memory, but the positive side of this disease is they retain long-term childhood memories. So you could say to them, instead of what did you have for breakfast, you could say, I know how you like bacon and eggs for breakfast. Instead of saying your son came to see you last night, you could say your son's super smart. I think he got some of his brains from you. You can remind them who their son is. You can remind them who their spouse is. You can remind them who their families are, but you can't remind them that they came yesterday. So focus on their long-term memories, the ones that they still have. There was, families tend to tell me about, when I meet someone with dementia, they tend to tell me about the person. So for example, a family might say, well, my dad was a board member, my dad was an accountant, my dad was a businessman, he's a prominent member of the community. But what I want to know is what they were 40 years ago. not just what they were 10 years ago, but what they were 40 years ago. And when I meet that man might be saying, Betsy, where's Betsy? Betsy? And all he wants is Betsy all day long because he's looking for her, looking for her, looking for her. And if I base it on information that the kids told me, I might think, well, Betsy's his wife or Betsy's the secretary, but he wants Betsy. So then I'll say to him, you know, Betsy's uptown getting her hair done because I think maybe it's his wife. And then he gives me this look like, liar, crazy woman. Do you not know when you give people the wrong answer and they look at you like you were, did you fall from? Because for this person, Betsy was his cow. And when you say Betsy's uptown getting her hair done, this is the only disease you get to keep changing your answer every 3 minutes until you figure out who Betsy is. When you figure out Betsy's a cow, could you say to him, you don't have a cow, you're 82. Does that make him feel better in that moment? No, because he's thinking, I'm 16, I'm responsible for the cow, and you're telling me I don't have one. So then it gets worse. He's like, Betsy, Betsy. So no matter who they're looking for, whether it's the cow, whether it's his wife, whether it's his kids, no matter who they're looking for, our whole goal is to make them feel like whoever they're worried about is perfectly okay right now. So if someone says Betsy to me and I figured out that it's the cow that he takes care of, I'm going to say Betsy's out in the back 40. That's going to make him feel like Betsy's okay. If the person looks at me and says, where's my mom? I'm going to make him feel like his mom's okay. So I'm going to say your mom's out doing the chores. I could even say out feeding Betsy. So I'm connecting the dots. If he's looking for his wife, have you seen my wife? I might say she's uptown getting her hair done. If he's looking for his brother, one of his brothers, because they did the chores together, I might say he's out in the field. So here's the thing, you got to figure out who they're worried about, and then how can you make them feel like that person or that thing that is perfectly okay in this moment. Because all you have is this moment to make them feel like the world is okay. And I call this living in their truth. We're going to live with the memories that they have left. Because here's the other phenomenon. As the disease progresses, they lose more and more and more memory, and they get younger in their mind. How do we know they get younger in their mind? By the questions that they ask. They may ask about their mom. So in their mind, they're probably 10 to 12 years old. They may ask for their husband, but I'll be nice to him, but I don't know who that is, because they want their young, handsome beau. So they're 20s in their mind. They may be asking about their children, but when their children come in and the kids say, Mom, who am I? Do you know who I am? And she'll be nice to them for about 10 minutes, but she's wondering, when are you going to leave? Because the kids that she's looking for are her little kids, kids that are 12, kids that are in 2nd grade. So how old is she in her mind? She's in her 20s and 30s. Following? It's really, really, really important to slow down enough to go, how old are they right now? Because you can even ask them. Sometimes I would just ask, how old are you? And they'd say 24 or 36, whatever number they gave me in that moment. But this is where they're holding their memories. So in their 20s, if they lived in Missouri, but right now they live in Minneapolis, but in their 20s, they lived in Missouri, whose responsibility is it to chat about Missouri instead of Minneapolis? Whose responsibility is it to talk about the farm instead of the condo in town? Whose responsibility is it to talk about possibly their grandparents instead of the grandkids? When you can figure out where they're living in their mind, go to that time and pull out pictures and pull out things from that time. Okay, so some people actually, like if someone says to me, where's my mom? And I say, your mom's in the kitchen, or your mom will be right back. Those are the answers I use. Some people don't like that because they think that's lying to them. That's why I call it living in their truth with the memories they have left. They think they're lying to them. The first question I have for you, if they knew in their mind their mom was no longer living, would they ask for her? So when they ask you a question, no matter how bizarre, it is real for them. And if you want to, go ahead, give it your best shot. Tell them the person that they're looking for is no longer living, whether that be their mom or their husband. Just say, no, he's no longer living, because that's the truth of it, right? When you tell them that the person is no longer living, how does that make them feel in that moment? Nobody said anything. Nobody even told me. Why didn't you tell me? So how do they start feeling when you tell them who they're worried about is no longer living? Anxious? Confused? Alone? Insecure? How do they function when they feel anxious, confused, alone, insecure? They can't. They can't function feeling all of those things. So again, your whole goal is to change your answers so they feel, and you keep changing your answer so they feel like whoever they're worried about is okay right now. And my last question is, when you correct them and you tell them that their mom is no longer living, or you tell them their husband is no longer living, do they go, oh yeah, that's right? And they never ask you that question again. They never ask the question again because they got it. Of course they got it. Can this person change when you correct them? So then this is a disease, isn't it? And they're doing the best they can with the memories that they have left. They're not doing this to tick you off. They're not doing this to frustrate you. They're living in another time. They cannot change. We are the only ones who can change and go where they are. Live in their truth. Accept where they're at. And when you can do that, you're going to get a different day. I guarantee it. Okay. So the other question I have for you that happens often, they say, I want to go home. Correct? That's one of the questions. I want to go home. I want to go home. When they say I want to go home, they're telling you that this place that they're in right now doesn't feel, look, smell like the home that they're looking for. So because they're quite possibly looking from the home in Missouri. Does that make sense? So whether you're at home and you've lived there for 40 years, or you've moved them into a memory care community and they want to go home, do you know that even if you took them home, they'd still want to go home? They still want to go home. So when anyone says to you over the phone or in person, I want to go home, give them a reason to stay wherever they're at just a little bit longer, because everyone can stay a little bit longer where they're at, right? So they wake up in the morning, I want to go home. Oh, but I just put on a pot of coffee. And then they say, I want to go home. Oh, okay, let's get dressed. And then they say, I want to go home. Oh, I just made breakfast. And then they say, I want to go home. Let me do your hair before you go. And then they say, I want to go home. Let's read devotion before you go. And then they say, I want to go home. And you say, well, the church ladies made us roast beef and mashed potatoes. And then they say, I want to go home, but we're going to sing in a little bit. And for a guy, you're going to have to say, but I need your help. Men need to be needed. So when a man says, I want to go home, I always say, oh, but would you help me with this really heavy box first? And that box is filled with feathers. But that man, in order to stay with me a little bit longer, has got to have a reason, and he's helping me. And I move that box from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. But he's got to be working, because men of their generation got to be working. Point being, if you try to reason with them and say to them, this is your home, You live here. Remember, we moved you here 2 weeks ago. How does that make them feel when you try to get them to get it? I got to get out of here. They get even more upset when you try to make them try to get it. So it's really important, if they're asking that question, give them the hope that they can still go home, but do not take them home. Does that make sense? Because even if you did, they still want to go home. All right. You can even get out that picture of that farm in Missouri and talk about that home. You can get out a picture of their grandparents and talk about their grandparents' home, because they have the details in their mind about their grandparents' home and about the home that they grew up in, but they don't have the detail of the home that they just came from. Okay. All right. One of the biggest things that I'm going to share with you today is stop correcting them. You can forget everything else I've said, but stop correcting them. So let's say you want to correct them because they've already had too much ice cream. 3 bowls, in fact. You're like, you've already had 3 bowls of ice cream and you want to correct them. Well, in their mind, they've only had 1 bowl of ice cream and they'd like another one. Let's say you want to correct them because they wore that outfit yesterday and you're so tired of them wearing that same outfit 7 days a week. You want to correct them, when in reality, they think they only put that outfit on this morning and they like it. You want to correct them because they haven't had a bath in a week, 2 weeks, a month. You want to correct them. And they say, I just got washed up this morning. So when you have the inkling to correct somebody, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. This is so important. You're having a moment. You're like, I don't like what they're doing right now. And you want to correct them. No, I already told you 10 times. No, you told me that story already. Doesn't matter what you want to correct them on. No, that's not your purse. No, that's not. No. When you have the inkling to correct them, ask yourself 3 questions. Let's go with the outfit that they want to wear 7 days a week. Number 1 question, wearing the same outfit 7 days a week, does it cause you physical pain? Not annoy you, because there's a lot of things that annoy you and you want to correct them in the hopes that they're going to get better. But does it cause you physical pain that they want to wear the same outfit? No. Wearing the same outfit 7 days a week, does it cause them physical pain to wear the same outfit 7 days a week, even if the outfit smells and has a hole in the hiney? Does it cause them physical pain to wear it? No. Wearing the same outfit 7 days a week, does it cause anybody who lives with them physical pain? No. If your answer is no to those 3 questions, what do you think I want you to let them do? Whatever it is they're doing. Even if it's the point of being naked. You're like, they got to get some clothes on. This is a tough one. I know this is going to hit some spots. Or they have food on their shirt and you got to change your shirt. Again, I'm going to say, challenge yourself just a bit and go, being naked, having food on their shirt, does it physically hurt anybody? Because I'm going to tell you, it's hard for them to get dressed. It's hard for them to get dressed once, let alone twice. Stop correcting them. And in actuality, if you do that, that actually means that you're wrong. That's going to take therapy for some of you. But you're wrong. Imagine if you continue to think you're right and you're correcting them in the hopes that they can get better. Do they get better when you correct them? Do they stop asking the question? Do they stop doing what's irritating you? So if nobody's physically getting hurt with what they're doing right now, please let it be. Let it be. Leave the room if you can't handle it. Let them be. Let them be. Let them be. Let them be as they are. Let them be as they are right now. There's going to be a tremendous amount of less suffering if you let them be as they are. Because I'm going to tell you, we think they're suffering. You know who the person who's actually suffering is? The caregiver, is the spouse. Because it's absolutely painful to watch the person you love do things they don't normally do. Does anybody else have parents like this? My My dad will be telling a story. He'll say, on Wednesday, went to the sale barn. My mom will correct him and say, no, it wasn't Wednesday, it was Tuesday. And then my dad will say, we had some cinnamon rolls. My mom will stop him and say, no, it wasn't cinnamon rolls, it was coffee cake. Stop it. Do we think at any point my dad will look at my mom and say, hey, thanks, you're so smart? My mom constantly correcting my dad, what's it doing for him? My dad's just telling a story. Physically hurting anybody? Absolutely not. But my mom constantly correcting his story, what's it doing for my dad? Ticking him off. When he's ticked off, who suffers the repercussions? Everybody, including my mom. Now, my mom has heard my presentation probably about 20 times. She actually used to travel with me and she's read every book that I've written. Huh? Do you think she's changed? Because for how many years has she been correcting my dad? 59, if I had enough hands. 59 years she's been correcting my dad. Just because I come along and say, hey, let's not correct him anymore, doesn't mean she goes, oh, okay, I get it. I even had a one-on-one conversation with my mom. I said, it doesn't matter what day, it doesn't matter what happened. Can we just not fight with him? I don't really want to fight with him. Do you think my mom has changed? My mom actually is super smart, has a degree, raised 6 kids beautifully. Look, yes, she's amazing, super smart. Do you think she's changed and not corrected my dad? The reason I tell this story is because as a caregiver, as a spouse, as a daughter, as the person who loves the person with dementia, I make it sound easy. Butterflies and cupcakes. I don't have an expectation of who they should be, but guess what? You have an expectation of who they should be and you want them back, rightfully so. Gentle. Gentle with yourself. Gentle. You have been with a person for possibly over 50 years, playing a role for possibly over 50 years. Just because I come along and say, hey, let's not do that, what you're doing anymore, doesn't mean you can just change. As a daughter, you're going to stop by and you're going to want your mom back. And you're going to want to correct her and you're going to want to say, who am I, Mom? Mom, do you remember my name? And you're going to want to test her. This is not a test. The daughter that she's looking for is younger. Be more worth your time to get a picture of yourself when you were in 2nd grade, bend down near your mama, put your hair in pigtails, I don't really care. Hand her the picture of you in 2nd grade because you're cute and say, oh my goodness, Jolene was a little tom girl, wasn't she? She loved to climb the silo. She loved to play with the kittens in the barn. And she could kick those boys' butts. Whose responsibility is it to give my mom me back? Give her memories back about me. Whose responsibility is that? Who's got the best memories of me? So if you love them and you've lived with them for a very long time, whose responsibility is it to give you back? You. So get out those wedding pictures, write a love letter, put some flowers next to her bed, but please don't stand there and say, I am your husband. We've been married for 59 years. She's going to say, get out of here. You did it. But if you say, Harold dropped off this love letter and he wanted you to have these flowers, that man adores you. She's going to get her husband back. If you are a husband trying to take care of your wife at home, I want you to consider something. When she doesn't know who you are, just become the plumber. You're here to fix the sink. She's not threatened by the plumber. When she doesn't know who you are, go outside, call on your cell phone, call the landline on your cell phone and talk to her over the phone. Because when she does not see your face, she will recognize your voice. And then you can say, I'm just having a cup of coffee with Chuck. But that makes her feel okay about where you are. Otherwise, she will accuse you of having an affair because she hasn't seen you. And it's not that she hasn't seen you, she doesn't recognize you because you look old. She's looking for her young one. Okay? Even as kids, call your mom or dad on the phone. They're more likely to have a lovely conversation on a landline on the phone than you are on the iPad, than you are on a cell phone, because they don't understand that technology. They don't understand Zoom. It's too much information, and they don't even know what's going on. But if you get back a phone over their ear and you call them on the phone, you can have a lovely conversation. The negative to this is, which isn't much, but you might have a family that lives in another state, right? And you're the main caregiver. And maybe you have a son that calls from Alabama, wherever he lives. And he has a lovely conversation with your wife, his mom, and he gets you back on the phone and he says, wow, she sounds great. Mom sounds great. You must be doing great. People call on the phone and she just sounds great. A neighbor might even stop by and she acts perfectly fine for 15 minutes. Really good. But as soon as the conversation is over or the door is shut, she's like, who was that? Who is that? And you took my money. Why are you taking my money? I got robbed last night. Somebody took my stuff. Do you know what the neighbor did? They took my stuff. So what ends up happening is you kind of feel like you're losing it because other people think that it's not that bad because they experience them being kind of good. And you're thinking, am I making this up? You're thinking, no one sees what I'm seeing. Family don't support you in your decisions because they don't really think it's that bad. Isn't that cute? So when anyone doesn't think it's that bad, you need to ask them to come stay with the person that you're caring for and go check into a hotel room. Because not until they experience what you've been experiencing firsthand, directly, will they believe it's actually happening. I'm going to be direct in this next statement because I think it's profound. This one daughter who was taking care of her mom and the brother didn't think it was that bad. So she decided that she was going to check into a hotel. A brother came up just for a few days, just 48 hours. You know what she said to me? She goes, I hope mom poops. Because he doesn't think there's anything wrong with her. I know that's blunt, but here's the thing. How do you think it makes a caregiver feel when other people aren't supporting them? When they're calling you on the phone and saying, you know what I saw on the internet? You should try it. I think we should do this. And they give you their opinion and they live somewhere else. Do you know the only people who hold the truth? The only ones who hold the truth are the ones who are giving the care. The only people in this journey who hold the truth are the ones who are giving the care, the ones who are with the person. And our role as a family, as a community, is to support the caregiver. That's our role and our only role, not to question the caregiver, not to give them advice. Our only role is to support the caregiver. You know what that means? Drop off lasagna and run. Go over, mow their yard and run. Take the laundry, do it, run. Because really, they just need someone to pick up the pieces, which is making a meal, maybe cleaning the house, doing the laundry, cleaning up the yard, and run. The reason I say run is because if you ask a caregiver, do you need any help? The caregiver will simply say, no, I'm fine. Because what ends up happening is the caregiver feels they're the only one who can do this. They're the only one who can do this. And they're so exhausted that they don't even know how to ask for help. So when you say, do you need anything? They don't even have the energy to tell you what they need. You know what really good friends and family do. They say, you know what, Mom, on Sunday, I'm coming over 2 hours. Go get your hair done. We'll be fine. Really good friends say, I'm coming over. I'm going to clean the yard, hang out with your husband, go. They don't ask. Because we know that if a caregiver tries to do this 24/7 by themselves without support, my caregiver is going to end up in the hospital. That spouse is going to end up in the hospital. And I'm going to quite possibly lose 2 people in this process, because the people who are suffering here are not the people with dementia. The people who it actually hurts emotionally, mentally, are the caregivers, are the spouses. I make this journey sound like butterflies and cupcakes. I can hang out with your wife. I can hang out with your dad. I'm good at it. I don't have an expectation of who they should be. So please be gentle with yourself. And as a caregiver, I really need you to communicate 5 things and how I can help that would be helpful. 5 ways in which it would be helpful that I helped you. And that might be dropping off food, and that might be cleaning up the yard, and that might be taking her on a country drive. But if you can't tell me how I can help you, I don't know how to help you. And I'm going to help you by coming over. And that's not really helpful, because now you got to be the host and the caregiver, because we think we're helping by stopping by, visiting. That can add a whole nother ball game that's super stressful. But if you can give me 5 ways in which I can be helpful, play cards with her so you can go just leave the house, just get out of the house. Tell me that. And then I want you to Xerox copy that list of 5 things, or put it out in a text, or put it out in an email, or take it to church. I don't really care, but communicate how we can help, because there are people who want to help, but we don't know how. And then you really get mad because your family's not helping. Yeah, sometimes your family doesn't end up being your family. Sometimes your family is your neighbor. Sometimes your family is the new person who moved next door. Sometimes your family is church. Sometimes your family is someone you least expect that you just met. But the other thing we tend to do, we tend to get angry at how other people are adjusting to this, because they're not helping. It's a waste of energy. You might as well go get your hair done instead of be mad at how other people are doing this, because they're doing the best they can too. Your role is to communicate how we can help in a way that's actually helpful. 5 things. All right. So the other common question is, how do I know when it's time to have somebody else take care of them? How do I know when it's time? And the number one thing I look at is, how is the caregiver, the health of the caregiver? Actually, don't even look at the person with dementia. I'm looking at the person who's taking care of them. And if their health is declining, I'm going to say it's time for that person to move and have someone else take care of them. Also, interestingly enough, even in my family, we're all waiting for Dad to give us permission. Yep, waiting. Dad's not ready. Nope, he doesn't want to live in a memory care community. He doesn't want to move off the farm. So we're all going to wait until he says, hey, I'm ready to move. I think someone else should take care of me. Do we think that's going to happen? Nope, but my siblings think it's going to happen. You know what ends up happening is that either my dad will fall or something will happen to my mom, and we have to move them within 24 hours because the person who's caring for them can no longer care for them. And then we have to take the first bed, and then we don't have the information, and then we're not really prepared. But we'll wait. We'll wait for him to give us permission. We'll even wait for Mom to give us permission. Is that going to happen? No, because my mom has distinctly said that she feels like if someone else took care of my dad, she would be letting him down. She would be giving up on him. Can I tell you something? My mom's super healthy. I don't want to lose my mom. And I understand the death till you part. I get it. But we promise to be their husband. We promise to be their wife. When you allow someone else into your home to take care of them, you actually get to be the wife again. Because you're not toileting, you're not cooking the meals, you're not doing all those things. When you allow someone else to help you take care of them, you get to become the daughter again. You get to become the wife again. They want you in that role. That you just come and sit with them and just be with them in the room without doing everything for them with them. Does that make sense? Caregivers are so exhausted. My mom is so exhausted that it's even difficult for her to do the next task. Okay. So there comes a time when we're not waiting for permission. We make the decision because we can see that the person who's caregiving is declining really fast. Now, when you make that transition, ease inch by inch, ease inch by inch, inch by inch. So right now, for example, it's just for the winter. It's just for the winter. So you make it temporary. Don't ever make it permanent. Make it temporary. It's just for the winter, just to help mom out. That's an inch. The other thing you can do is have someone come in 3 times a week. It's just 3 times a week. They'll do the cooking, they'll do the cleaning, and they'll make sure the snow is plowed on the driveway. Just a little bit. But if we try to take total control, right? They're going to resist, right? So just inch your way into it. There's a reason that they would understand that someone else has to get involved. I'm going to give you even some littler, slyer ways of getting through that. One gentleman actually shut off the water and told his mom that the pipes were frozen. And that was a reason she couldn't live in the house for the winter. Does that make sense? Another gentleman actually tore the roof off of part of the house and said, you can't live under this construction just for the winter. And so they moved under someone else's care just for the winter. But those are reasons people in the Midwest understand that, yeah, I can't live here if I don't have water and if I don't have a roof. Does that make sense? You blame it on someone or something else. Okay? Before you move someone, though, it's really important to take a picture, an actual picture with your phone of their place of comfort. Like, where do they relax in their home? Because I want to take that place where they relax and I want to pick it up without rearranging it, and I want to drop it into the place that they're moving into. So that means that, let's say the gentleman's place of comfort is the recliner. Okay, end table next to the recliner. Is it on the right-hand side or the left-hand side? Okay, it's on the left-hand side. So we know that we got to keep the end table on the left-hand side. We also got to know that he loves his beer. He'll sit down with a beer and a ball game and relax. So the TV's right here, the beer's right here, and it's on the left-hand, whichever side I said it was originally on, it's on the left-hand side as it always has been. Does that make sense? So take a picture of their place of comfort, because if you even move the end table to the side that it hasn't always been on, their body will get confused. Do not rearrange their space. Here, let me give it another less threatening way. This daughter moved her dad into her 3-car garage. She remodeled the 3-car garage to look exactly like the first floor of his house. Same paint on the walls, shoes in the same location, coat hung in the same location, and installed the bathroom in the same location. She took a picture of the first floor of his house, made the first floor, her garage, look exactly like the first floor of the house. Do you know that her dad didn't even know that he moved, and he moved to another state? That's how powerful that is. Another daughter basically moved out all her stuff and moved her parents' stuff and rearranged it exactly as she could, as much as she could, and they function higher because their body will remember where everything is. Also know that if you remove something from their house, like the kitchen table, and it's always been there, they're going to think they got robbed. You could reason with them till you're blue in the face. It's in the storage shed. 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 If they don't see something that gives them comfort, they're going to think somebody took it. And if they don't see that kitchen table, now they have not a place to pray because they always prayed at the kitchen table. So how can we maintain those habits of a lifetime? Down to the feather pillow. Because having their feather pillow and their blanket, even though it doesn't look so good, doesn't smell so good, is going to give them comfort. But we tend to go buy them new furniture, like a new chair, you know, because it looks good. Do they find comfort in a new chair? No. You got to move the chair no matter what it looks like, no matter what it smells like, because that place of comfort is something we can give them. They need to be able to sit in a place that they know that relaxes their body. Yes. And let me think, what else? Also, if you want to get really creative, you can just get a cardboard box. When you move someone, just get a cardboard box and you say, what can I put in this cardboard box so everybody kind of knows who my wife is? So maybe you put her lotion in that cardboard box, and maybe you put her favorite scarf in that box, and maybe you put a picture of your kids when they were younger in that box, and maybe you put the Bible in that box and you mark her favorite verses. But you put that in her room, so then no matter who comes in the room to take care of her, they see a person who has a family, who has an apron, who love jewelry. And so to connect this new person, this new caregiver with your wife, this new caregiver can go in that box and say, oh my gosh, these earrings are gorgeous. And they put on her earrings. And they go, oh my gosh, red lipstick? Who knew you like red lipstick? And they can put on her red lipstick. And they can pull out the Bible and open it to the place and give her the 3 first words, our Father who art in heaven. And she will recite the entire thing, and it will bring a sense of calm. Music is another thing that you've got to give back to them. The music that you shared together as a family, and every family has different music, right? So I might be a really great singer and I might sing, Amazing Grace. Don't do it. Research has shown it's irritating when you try to sing the note in the hymnal. It's too high. But if I come in and sing, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, I guarantee you, your wife will sing with me, hit the pitch, not even miss a beat, and harmonize. And if I start singing, Jesus loves me, she'll sing the whole thing by herself. But we can't sing music from this day and age. Does that make sense? We've got to sing music from their Sunday school years. Got to sing music from the church that was out in the country. Get that old hymnal out and sing. With this disease, they never, ever, ever lose their music. It's always retained. And it's beautiful. So often we want to come in and visit with our words, and we want to say, how are you today? When you ask someone, how are you today? You're actually asking an open-ended question that requires them to think and then go, oh, my neck hurts and I don't feel so good and my stomach hurts. And you're going to have to deal with that for about 15 minutes. But if you walk in the front door and you start singing, Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and it went right to my head. Or maybe as a husband, you would sing, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. I'll never love blue eyes again. Maybe you recite the poetry or sing the song that you would have sung while you were courting each other. That triggers a moment. And maybe you send mail in the mail. You could even just send Kleenex in the mail because you know your mama loves her Kleenex. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be difficult. You don't have to go shopping. Just have to pick something up from your house, anything off the shelf, and send it to them in the mail so they can hold it in their hands. Because if you use your words, 90% of what they understand does not come out of here. 90% of what they understand does not come out of here. 90% of what they understand is what they touch, what they see, what they feel, and what they smell. So if you can put back in their hands something that's been in their hands for a lifetime, you're going to be triggering memories even if you're not in the room. Something that you got on a trip, something that's been in every house and you've moved and taken it with you, something that holds memories, put that back in their hands. Now, if you're in a memory care community, everything gets lost. Absolutely everything gets lost. Everything is lost. So whatever you bring in, you got to know that it's a donation. Nobody's going to go look for it. It's not a thing. Because I'd rather have people be with people than look for stuff. So let's say you're amazing and you brought in a sweater and you're like, oh, mama loves this sweater, but tomorrow Ethel is wearing the sweater. Someone else is wearing the sweater. Nobody can find the sweater. Don't come in and say, hey, where's the sweater I bought my mom yesterday? Because here's the deal. When you say, where's the sweater I bought my mom yesterday? They got to go spend time to find it. Do you know that it might take 2 months to find the one thing that you're looking for? This is just stuff. Go get 20 sweaters. Sneak them in the closet. So yes, she can always be wearing a pink sweater. Go get 20 sets of keys because a man has to have a set of keys in his pocket. 20 sets of keys, 20 wallets. Tell me the 5 things that give a man security. Here's your test. I'm going to test you. 5 things that give a man security that he's had in his pockets for a lifetime. Keys, change, wallet, handkerchief, maybe, pocket knife, maybe, vice grip, maybe. Point is, he no longer has his keys anymore because he can't drive. So he can't fiddle with his keys in his pocket. He no longer has money in his wallet because he loses it. Nobody wants to give him that responsibility. He no longer has a handkerchief because he set it down and nobody replaced it. And he no longer has a pocket knife because we took it away because it's not safe. He might stab somebody with it. P.S. Where'd he get the pocket knife? From his dad or grandpa? And we take it away because he might stab somebody with it? Smarter to take a little super glue, drop it in the pocket knife, because you know what? It's not about using it. It's about having it in his pocket. How do you think a guy feels when he goes into his pocket and cannot find anything that has been in there for a lifetime? Oh my goodness, he's going to have behaviors. You're going to blame it on Alzheimer's when in reality, he doesn't like you and he doesn't feel safe here and he's got to go get his car because he can't find his keys. Is worth our time to figure out what did your dad, what did your husband have in his pockets for a lifetime? What did your wife, what did your mom have in her purse for a lifetime? How can we give them that back? And how can we get a set of 20 so no one has to go look for it and we just replace it, replace it, replace it? Know that when the sweater's missing, we're creating a moment of joy for 5 other ladies because they're wearing it. Know that when the wallet is missing, we're creating a moment of joy for another man because he's got it in his pocket. If something is lost, if something is missing, someone else has it. It's creating a moment of joy for other people, even if it's not for your mama. You have to donate whatever it is you bring in because everything absolutely gets lost and it's just stuff. And if it's not just stuff, then you need to take it home and just bring it when you visit. So they can have it in their hands, so they can connect you outside the window With this whole COVID thing, they can connect you outside the window because the staff person is coming in the room and putting on the pearl necklace. And they can connect you outside the window because the staff person is coming in and giving them a cup of tea because you as a couple drank a cup of tea together every day with a certain teacup. That connects this person to you. You can even drop off a feather pillow with your scent on it. Drop off a shirt with your scent on it. So they can hold you and smell you and see your cap on the shelf, even though they can't have you. Does that make sense? How can you give you back with something to put back in their hands? Because they miss you. They haven't seen you in a while. So how can you give them you back? Call them on the phone. How can you give them you back? Put your shirt in their hands. A picture of you when you were in the military. Anything that will trigger a memory, because you are their lifeline. You are their lifeline to their memories. You hold their memories. My last encouragement is that you fit joy into your day in many little simple ways. How can you too, as a caregiver, do something that makes you feel better? Only you can make that decision. Only you can go play cards. Only you can call up a friend. Only you can go for a walk. But how can you fit pleasure back into your day? Because I'm telling you, if you don't have any joy, it's pretty hard to give it away. Put a little joy in your day, a lot of joy into your everyday. Putzing around can bring you joy. Going to a certain cafe can bring you joy. Working out in the yard can bring you joy. You have to continue to live. Because then when you have a bit of joy, you can give it away. You're important too. So often we give and 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 we forget to give to ourselves. Remember that you're important. Remember that you deserve joy in your day too. Who decides that? This is not an easy journey to be on. Like I said, I make it sound simple. It is absolutely not an easy journey to be on, but you're on it. And I'm not here to tell you you're going to get a perfect day. It doesn't exist. But I am here to tell you that if you take one thing that you've heard today and you do it tomorrow, you're going to get a better day. And that's my hope. My hope is that you all somehow get a better day because you are important too. Thank you for your time. And I thank for inviting me. And I'm going to thank you for the snow because it just is. And if you want to know more, thank you, Vicki, for reminding me. But you don't have to remember anything I've said today because it's all in the book. It's all in the book. And Vicki was there when I had my first edition 20 years ago. And now I'm on my 5th edition. So don't try to remember anything or everything that I've said. They have the book here. So just ask for the book and everything is in that book. And just take little snippets at a time. Just little snippets at a time. Just inch your way along. Inch your way along. Inch your way along. Okay. Thank you. No, I have not written any other books besides Creating Moments of Joy, but I just did rewrite it. And so all my brain is in there. Took a lot to rewrite it. Yes. If anyone has questions, they're telling me I have 5 minutes. Does anyone want to ask a question? That's a really good. So here's the thing. I'm not really accessible. You can email me, but I have an assistant now, and I kind of am into taking care of flowers now and taking care of myself now. But you can definitely email me, and my assistant will forward that if you have a certain question. It's going to take me a little while to respond to that, though. But my email address is jolene@enhancedmoments.com. Jolene, Jolene @enhancedmoments.com. Yes. So was it negative or positive that happened to your mom? Someone asked the question, my mom always wants to talk about her mother. So I would say find out about her mother. In other words, you can't say to her, what was your mama like? But you can turn your questions around and go, is your mama a good cook? Did she like to make casseroles? Oh, she had to have the cheese too? So you're turning your questions around, so all she has to say is yes or no. And even better if you could get out a recipe book, because the recipe book will trigger your mama's memory about her mama. Does that make sense? Or the church recipe book that's been passed down would be a thing that will trigger your mama's memory about her mama. Does that make sense? But you don't want to ask an open question, right? Tell me about your mom, because that's just can't too many choices. But can you put something back in your mama's hands that reminds her of her mom? Now, my grandma didn't like her mom. You brought her mom up, she'd get really pissed because she got kicked out at the age of 11. So every single mama's relationship with their mama is completely different. We would never ever talk to my grandma about her mama because it would set her off. So I'm not your teacher. Look at me. I'm not your teacher. Every single person is absolutely different. So what works for your mama isn't going to work for my grandma. Make sense? I'm not your teacher. They will teach you, and you get to make mistakes, and you get do-overs, short-term memory loss. It's a blessing. You get a do-over every time, but keep doing it differently. Keep doing it differently. I would highly recommend getting rid of your mouth and putting something back in their hands, whether that be in a package in the mail or dropping it off wherever they are. Get rid of your mouth, put something back in their hands. Yes? That's how I would trigger a memory. And then call them on the landline and say, did you receive the recipe book? And so she has the recipe book in her hand. You're more likely to have a meaningful conversation because she's holding something that triggers the memories. Yes? Yes. Anything else?
Can you speak to vascular dementia or any other advice that is different type of dementia?
So the question is all the different types of dementia: vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's, Huntington's, all of those things, strokes, multi-infarcts. Here's the thing. I'm not your teacher. Every single person is different, even if they're both diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to do different things. Guess who's the best teacher? The one who lives with them, who's with them right now. You have to know that you hold the truth. I don't hold it. I don't hold it because each person is absolutely different how they go through whatever they're going through. And every day is different. And every 5 minutes is different. You get to respond to an authentic emotion right now. You get to live in the now with them, and you get to respond to that. So if they're pissed, you're pissed. If they're sad, you're sad. If they're angry, you give them a safe place to land. But here's the deal. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally, because they don't have the ability to stuff feelings anymore. They're all coming out. And guess what? It's all coming out at you because you're the person standing in front of them. It's not personal. You're the one who's standing in front of them. And it's going to be painful because they're going to be nice to everybody else. But when everybody else leaves, all over you, because you're the caregiver. It's painful, but true. Yes? Do you understand how they're nice to everybody else? All the strangers, anybody they see, they'll be nice to, but not to you. I can't change that. Just know that it's a normal phenomenon. Any other questions? Are we good?
We're out of time.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you for your time. Wish you the best.